I think sleep is such a big issue for so many people. Like, in the thousands of clients we've seen, like the majority of our clients have sleep issues.
And if we're not sleeping, you feel druggy the next day, right? We don't feel the great. Our mood shifts. Perhaps our food choices change. Everything changes based on that sleep. So when people are always like, oh my gosh, what's the root cause? I say stress. And what the second thing I look for is, how's your sleep? Right off the bat.
If I see a client coming in and they're like, I go to bed at 2 a.m. and I wake up at 6, but like 4 hours is fine for me. I'm like, nope, this is where we're starting.
Remember, sleep is pinnacle, but sleep goes off when our mental attitude or our outlook goes off and when our stress goes up. Sleep will naturally be impacted. And then, again, two-way communicators, sleep's off, what happens to the other two? It's a gravitational pull.
This is Keep It Clear, real conversations about skin, acne, and women's health without the overwhelm. Because you deserve answers that actually make sense. Today's episode starts now. A riddle is, what is something we all love, but we all procrastinate every single day, but we all desperately need?
For me, it's totally alcohol.
I know you haven't had any of your gin in a while now.
My body says, meh. So I don't know. I look up at the sky sometimes and I'm like, universe, why do I have to do this sober?
Why do I have to be in the health and wellness space? Why did I do this to myself?
Okay.
Well, wrong answer. The answer today is
well,
sleep,
something
actually.
I also very much love, but I'd never procrastinate my sleep.
A lot of people, I say there's the group where they procrastinate their sleep, but there's also those that just struggle to fall
or
asleep. Stay asleep. I think sleep is such a big issue for so many people. Like, in the thousands of clients we've seen, like the majority of our clients have sleep issues, and it's so rare. Like, whenever I get a client and I get to their sleep and they're like, yeah, no, I sleep great. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's great. Good for you. Because it's such a rare thing clients, that we see.
I'm like, oh, well, nobody likes to show off.
Wow, what's your
Aren't
secret?
you just special, right? Because when your sleep goes off, you want it. It's just like when people are constipated and they start having a bowel movement, and they have a unicorn poop every single day. They're like, oh, what is this gem? And then when you lose your sleep, you're like, what's happening?
Yeah, like, this is something both you and I struggle with, is our sleep. Struggled with it. For me, I've struggled with it on and off. Like, I used to sleep great as a kid. I'm pretty sure in university I slept fine. I don't really remember. I was partying too much to even notice. I'm a true millennial. Like, I guess when you go to bed at 4 a.m., you're just generally tired. But into my 30s, and like especially after becoming a mom, I found after becoming a mom, my sleep was like, pew, like so many women experience. Because when you have a newborn, obviously they don't sleep. And then I found once I became a mom, I feel like I was just always resting in neutral. Like, you're waiting for that phantom cry, that phantom, like that door to open and a little kid to walk in. So I think like you have that extra layer.
It's so true. Even now, right? Eldest is 18. She's like, yeah, I'm going to go out. I'll be home. Like, I don't know. I'm like, I always ask what time are you going to be home? Because I know I'm not sleeping. So I can at least look at the clock and be like, oh, okay, it's coming up. And I'll go to bed, don't get me wrong. I might stay down for an hour and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute. Didn't you have something to check? Like the clock and a child? No, I don't.
Yeah, I can't sleep if I know Frank's, my husband, is out. And he's like, say he never goes out, but if he's at something, he's like, oh, I'm going to be home around midnight. I'm not able to fall asleep.
Yeah. When Steve travels, I'm like on alert. I'm like, I can stay up to like 10, 10:30, 11. If he's home, I'm like, okay, peace out. He's like, it's 8:30. And I'm like, I know. It's your comfort, right?
Yeah. So let's talk about sleep, why it's so important, and why so many struggle with it. Like what's the different types of sleep issues, like whether we can't fall asleep, we wake up. Let's talk about all of that. And then we're going to go into some tactics that we actually help with our clients and things that we use for our sleep as well. Deal? All right, let's do it. Okay. So a lot of people think, Chris, obviously, that sleep is just rest. Oh, I shut my eyes and my body is just resting. Your body's doing a whole lot while sleeping. So, Chris, let's break down. What's our body actually doing while we're sleeping?
Generative act, right? It's rhythmic process, actually. It's tied to circadian biology. Even the role of light and darkness is setting that sleep-awake cycle. So when we have the daylight saving time, we by 8 o'clock, we're like, oh my gosh, I just can't anymore, right? Or by 6 o'clock. And then now when we're, the light's coming out, don't we feel a little more energetic? We can keep going with our day. It's lovely. This is the thing. We don't listen to that. And again, anybody listening, please stop playing with the clock, right?
Oh my God, the people that decide that, can we just stop with changing the
even
time,
the foundations
please?
of sleep is circadian rhythm versus that adrenal rhythm. They play together. So, sleep before midnight, really it's 10 o'clock, but I'm just going to say based on most clients, as we start to navigate them into a routine, really sleep before 10 o'clock really carries that deeper restoration, that value to the body. We need to set that cycle. Cortisol comes out with the daylight and it rises us. Melatonin comes out with the darkness, and we need to honor that. But who at 4:30 in the middle of winter can be like, okay, everybody, pack it up. We're going to go to sleep. That would be awesome, right? You just feel when the spring comes and you skip forward, you feel even rejuvenated because our body lives on that cycle. So when it's darker, we're supposed to be hunkering down, not exerting so much of our nervous system, our emotional processing, right? We want to get into different rhythms. I mean, use your light and your dark as your rhythm.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about people that work shift work, because we work with a lot of nurses and that kind of stuff. So we'll talk about all of that. But just know that when your body is sleeping, it's actually one of the most important windows for systemic or body-wide recalibration. Like, it is recalibrating everything going on. So it's going to be, helping with your stress response, your immune signaling, your glucose metabolism, your hormone production. All of this is happening while you're sleeping. And if we are not getting enough sleep, your body is not getting that recalibration time.
And if we're not sleeping, you feel druggy the next day, right? We don't feel the great. Our mood shifts. Perhaps our food choices change. Everything changes based on that sleep. So when people are always like, oh my gosh, what's the root cause? I say stress. And what the second thing I look for is, how's your sleep? Right off the bat.
Right off the bat. If I see a client coming in and they're like, I go to bed at 2 a.m. and I wake up at 6, but 4 hours is fine for me. I'm like, nope, this is where we're starting. We can't be jumping into detoxes and everything if you're not getting enough sleep, because again, this is when your body it's cleaning house, it's doing all of its errands. And if you're cutting that time short, it's like telling you, oh, you have an hour to go to a full grocery shop, go to the bank, go drop off the dry cleaning, pick up a kid, and you're like, there's no way I can do all of that in that time. And you're rushing through it all. And you need to be giving your body that time.
Also understanding the stages of sleep, right? So stage 1, that's like that, that nice little light transition into sleep. The nervous system begins to downshift. We start to feel ourselves drift. I don't know. Do you ever feel yourself drift?
Yeah. I hate when I'm drifting and I can feel it. And then my dog jumps off the bed, or a thought, or a kid
almost
opens
there,
the door.
right? Then when we look at stage 2, that's where we're going to get more into that deeper relaxation. Perhaps this is where the body temperature is going to drop and our brain waves start to slow. So for our overthinkers, really even getting into stage 2 can be a lot. By stage 3, this is the sexy of the sexy. I mean, REM is really, but stage 3 is, now we're getting into that deep sleep, that physical repair, much, much needed. This is mineral and tissue restoration. So if our minerals aren't there in abundance and look good, and we're not sleeping, whoa, now we're using them to do all of these factors, and we just don't have the gas to start the car, right?
And like you were saying, Chris, I always like to tell our clients that your day starts the night before when you go to bed, because as you mentioned, it's going to impact your food choices. Let's just think about it. When you don't get a good sleep, you're hitting the snooze button, you're waking up groggy, you're cutting your time short, you don't have enough time to eat breakfast, then you're like, I need about 14 cups of coffee to get through the day. you're already like in a crappy mood because your mood's not stable, you're irritable, your blood sugar is going to start taking because you didn't eat and you're relying on coffee. And then you're like, you want to what? I don't even care today. I'm eating whatever ever. So you make different food choices. And then you're like, I am dying. It's 3 p.m. I need another coffee. And then that goes and impacts your ability to sleep because now you've drank caffeine too late. You've messed with your blood sugar and that's going to go and impact your sleep. So you're creating this vicious
and for
cycle
some people that say I drink coffee and I drink wine to unwind, well, that just really doesn't, right? If you're waking up in the night, something else can be going on. And we don't want to break that REM, that REM sleep, right? Because this is our dreaming phase. A lot of people don't remember their dreams, right? But this is the emotional processing, the nervous system integration. This is definitely needed, right? Especially for people that are stressed, or we don't want to store anything emotional. We need that emotional processing. So if we're not getting deep into the REM or only having like minutes of it, or maybe 30 minutes of it, really small amounts, then what's happening? You're going to carry potentially those emotions forward, right? That nervous system reaction forward.
So with our sleep, when that's the thing is a lot of people use caffeine and wine as crutches, right? We're using caffeine to keep us awake, but then that's going to be interrupting our sleep. And then we're using wine because they're like, well, I can't fall asleep without wine. And like, I love on the internet, sometimes people are like, what do you mean wine doesn't help with sleep? I actually sleep way better. I'm like, well, it helps with the onset of sleep, but it actually prevents you from getting into REM or into those deeper sleep cycles.
And I really just want to say, if you're struggling with mindset or the emotional layer, you're like, I have fantastic sleeps. I also want to see, what are you doing? Like when you're going to sleep, are you totally exhausted that you're just like, boom, and you're out? Because this could potentially be the difference between parasympathetic and sympathetic, right? We could just be burnt out. So are we able to, we really need those unprocessed thoughts. We don't need them surfacing at night, right? Potentially waking up. Or when you wake up, are you like, oh, yesterday was so terrible, right? Because perhaps these are triggers to say, that process didn't happen.
We know that there's all a bunch of different types of sleep issues, right? So we have people that struggle falling asleep and people that struggle to stay asleep. And there's some, and then
early morning waking.
Yes. And then you're awake, right? There's just lots of issues going on. So
me,
what do you struggle with?
If I'm stressed, I struggle to go to sleep right away. If most of the time it's not staying asleep, I have a habitual kind of pattern of when I wake up. And people say, oh, I wake up to go to the bathroom. Okay, fine. If you're pounding down a bunch of water, I get it. However, if we reposition that and you're not doing that and you're still waking up, that's your body sending you a message. Has nothing to do with having to pee, because most people can. Your body is made for that, right? You can hold your urine. And they say, well, I just have a small bladder. Not really.
I feel like I really do, though. I have to pee like 65 times.
So, I mean, if we look at that sleep onset insomnia, that's kind of like that trouble falling asleep, right? That's where somebody's mind's staying active at night. Yeah. It could be linked to that nervous system, that overstimulation. We're processing all the things we shoulda, coulda said. Why didn't we do? And oh my gosh, I have all this on my plate, right? Like, I don't know why when it's time to go to bed, we're thinking about the purple socks that our parents should have bought us when we were 8 and we didn't get.
The things you think about.
It's like everything. It's that emotional release, right?
Yeah. I wish I could just like screw my head off and like just
I don't know, give Claude and 5 more years, maybe it can.
Yeah, give AI a couple more years. They should have. So when we
have those issues, trouble falling asleep, right? We're looking, perhaps, do we have elevated evening cortisol, or do we have mental overprocessing? Well, both, because if we're overprocessing, we're going to probably stimulate that cortisol. Or are we pushing ourselves? So, but I'm more the sleep maintenance insomnia.
Yeah, it's that cortisol spike at night, right? Because your cortisol should, like, when you say look at a Dutch test, right? We look at our Dutch test and we can see the cortisol pattern throughout the day. It's supposed to follow a specific pattern. And that in the evening, it should start to, slowly decline. But a lot of people, they might have a spike at night where it like boosts their cortisol, and that tells the body, oh, stress, we got to stay awake. We can't fall asleep.
Especially when you're sitting there and you're like, I am so dead dog tired at 8:30. And you're like, oh, but I still have to make lunches and I have to do this. And then we need to reposition your day, Because at 8:30, go honor that. And people say, no, I can't, I have kids. Okay, even if you could do it once or twice, wrestling has tag teams, right? Call in a partner.
Chris is a wrestling fan, by the way.
I was when I was younger.
Fun fact.
I'm just gonna let you know. You want to bust out the 80s, 90s? I'm gonna be able to name more. I have no boys, but I was the only child, and my dad liked wrestling, so it is what it is, right? So, So like even just looking at those whole patterns is what we have to do. It's not in isolation. We have to honor those times. And for people that say, oh, I can't, I have kids. And I single parent at least 4 days a week. And I set them up. It's very habitual. I set the expectations. I set this is what I'm going to do. You can be in your rooms, or, they're a little bit older. So I'm like, okay, this is when we're going to turn the Wi-Fi off. Yes, I turn the Wi-Fi off because I don't want the EMFs in my house, right? That's another sleep disruptor. So whatever it is you're going to do, it's about creating new patterns. And then if we're looking at the sleep maintenance insomnia, so waking during the night, which is no stranger to myself, right? So falling asleep's easy. For most, like 99% of the time, falling asleep for me is easy. I'm like, and done.
I struggle with both. So I've since my late 20s, probably I've struggled falling asleep and staying asleep.
Well, that tracks.
Lately, yeah, that tracks. I'm just a hot mess over here. And I know it's my anxiety that keeps me awake at night. But I've been, both you and I have been really working on our sleep the last, few months to a year.
Yeah. And then life changes happen too, right? It's like rolling the punches. It's like having kids. You set things, and then all of a sudden it's like somebody changes and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to reconfigure everything, right?
Like, especially for women going through perimenopause, as Chris, we know you're so familiar with at the moment.
So over it. Like, I'm at the rubber mallet stage.
She is not thrilled with her sleep and perimenopause issues.
Not a happy camper. So if you are, the falling asleep is easy, not staying asleep, then I want you to start looking at your windows between 1 and 3. Because, we love traditional Chinese medicine, right? But in this time too, this is where that deeper metabolic and that emotional processing phase is happening. Also, if we didn't go to bed till midnight, how can we get into this third stage? Right? 3 to 5, stress hormones, rhythm begins rising. Also, there's a connection with like the lungs and how they repress, and
the TCM organ clock is so cool. Everybody go and Google it.
Love. But I'm telling you right now, if we are up in this time tied to blood sugar dips, stress chemistry, and mineral imbalances, I can darn near confirm.
How many clients have we had who were like, I am constantly, like, I wake up in the night. I had a few clients last year, and I was like, okay, well, let's work on your blood sugar. And they're like, what? And I was like, yeah, we're having blood sugar issues. It's going to be waking us up. So just having a little snack of like a PFF, like a chia seed pudding. We love an evening chia seed pudding to really help to just stabilize that blood sugar. And I had a client come back like 2 days later, be like, Katie, I slept through the night for the first time in my life. And I usually wake up 6 times a night.
And that blood sugar, it feels, and you've heard me say this before, it feels like the elevator. You're laying there and you're like, oh, I'm kind of coming out of sleep. You're going back into that, either you're reverse transitioning. And then you're like, no. And then the elevator doors go bing. And you're like, I'm awake. Right? Blood sugar. And at what point do you start to get hungry? And then at what point do you start to go back to sleep? So, and obviously cortisol is rising. So what's happening with melatonin? It's been overrun. So that stress chemistry is kind of what we talk about. Now we're pumping out we have no daylight. So why are we awake? What are you saying to yourself at this time? And potentially, where are your minerals? So yeah, proteins, fats, and fibers. And they say, oh, well, you tell me not to eat 2 to 3 hours. Yeah. But if you have just stabilized blood sugar, that's not going to work for you.
And it's like, well, we also want to be considering, well, what's making you have issues with your blood sugar? Are you just not eating enough food in the day where you're under fueling your body? That's a really big issue that not everybody knows they're doing. Like, oh, well, I feel like I'm fine, but you're really not eating enough. Or you're not eating that protein, fiber, and fats at our different meals. We're just living on those refined carbs. Like, we're just having a big old plate of pasta with like nothing to offset it. So these little small things are going to be impacting your blood sugar. Caffeine, another one.
Yeah. Even that early morning awakening, you know, like that 4:30, that whatever, that can also be cortisol spikes. It's where we're waking up way too early, just can't fall back asleep. We're like, oh no, we have an hour and a half still, right? So I always say stress, burnout, hormonal shifts. What's going on? Super important to understand that. I mean, there's also acute and chronic insomnia. So, I mean, but acute is like, you know, a life event. You have a major project. You have guests coming over. Your in-laws are going to stay for 2 weeks, right? Or we're going to events and you're worried about, say, a protocol because you don't know what you can eat, or travel, even a scheduled disruption, right? It's like this. Around holidays are notorious for that because you're trying to plow in your typical 5 days into 4 days, and then we panic about it.
Let's now talk about, well, what can we do to be helping our sleep if we have issues falling asleep or we have issues staying asleep? We have a whole toolkit of things, don't you worry. So we got a whole little toolkit of things that we can help you through, things that we do with our clients, things that we've done ourselves. So Chris, let's start with the low-hanging fruit, right? Because there's stages of supports that we can be using for sleep. We don't want to just go and pull out all the big guns. We want to first start with foundations and then slowly move through the different sleep supports that we have. So number one is going to be sleep hygiene and looking at your caffeine.
Please and thank, and alcohol. Got to go together.
And alcohol.
Stimulants, that's
Yes.
why.
Stimulants, yes. So what we want to be looking at is first considering your day. Is, are we getting our food in? Are we drinking caffeine too late in the day? So if you are someone that has that afternoon coffee, let's pull that back to no later than noon, maybe no later than 10. Like, can we try? We have nothing to lose, right? Have your coffee in the morning and then see if you're able to fall asleep faster and stay asleep. And then from there, let's talk bedtime hygiene. This is one of Chris's favorite topics.
Yeah, I love it. I didn't even know this was a true thing, bedtime hygiene, but that is the name of it.
It is. Yeah, it is a thing.
Exactly.
You've been calling it this for like years.
I know, but I mean, I'm still so like, how is this a name? Right? So weird. The thing is we have to go through the patterns of what you're doing. So if people are not sleeping, I'm going to say, okay, well, tell me what your night looks like starting at dinner. What time is dinner? And run me through. And then if I can't really pinpoint it, which I can, but it's like if I want to see some other factors, I'll have them record it for 1 or 2 days, just kind of their routine of their day. Because we're looking for different connectors such as where's the nervous system? Do we have the mineral supports? Where's the blood sugar stability? These are things that I'm looking for, like what's our light rhythm? But a bedtime hygiene, it can go from where's our screen time? Everyone knows that, right? That's on the internet, right? So where's our screen time? When we're trying to do downtime, if you have a partner, whose day is it? For the bedtime, because usually one parent will assume more of a specific role. But sometimes we just need to have breaks, and it's okay to ask for help. We just don't because we're so systematic. Or I don't really want to lose that time because that's the only time I get with them. Yeah, but if you don't get time with you, how can you give back that time for them? Right? If you're falling asleep in your child's bed, no.
This is Frank every day. Falls asleep in each kid's bed. But that man can barely stay asleep watching a television show at noon.
I know. Steve does that too. We're watching TV and we're like, let's go to the movies. And we all look at him and we're like, we are not paying $20 so you can sleep.
Then you know what? Steve and Frank can go to the movies together.
Yeah. Like, I don't even know what movie can keep, it can be booming. And they're like, I'm like, what is happening?
I don't know. It's a dad thing.
Maybe we're just so comforting to them.
We
must be. But again, there's a lot of little factors to look at your day. And because we're so robotic, unless you write it down and you look at it over a period of at least 3 days, you're never going to find it because you're going to say, but I have to. And that's ambivalence to really go and look at it from the perspective of, I can't even fathom how to change it. Maybe I'm not ready to change. Or if you touch my schedule, then how am I going to live? How am I going to survive? And it sounds so like, well, of course, it's easy. It's not easy. Patterns are not easy.
it's easy to break those habits, right? And I've been in it where, you know, I know scrolling is bad, but I'm just scrolling aimlessly through Instagram, watching stupid reels for an hour before bed, even though I know I shouldn't. So I also, you know, if you're looking at your bedtime hygiene, I want you to be super honest with yourself, right? Because you know, if you're spending too much time scrolling around or too much time just doing stuff on your phone, shopping, adding to cart, whatever it is. So really be honest with yourself and say, okay, just this week, I want to try focusing on my sleep. Can we create that better bedtime hygiene where maybe as soon as, you know, the sun starts to set, we're turning all the overhead lights off. We're just using lamps, you know, maybe the lamps you have, like I like to make sure mine are on, like have like are warm. So it's like, you know, not that bright white. It's more calming. So it's signaling to the brain it's time to calm down. Just like you have a bedtime routine for kids, you need a bedtime routine for your body. So your body's like, oh, it's time to wind down. So, you know, maybe we are dimming the lights, maybe we're going to go and have a bath or a warm shower, like, and even turn the lights off. Like I love doing a shower without the lights on. Or maybe you're reading a book before bed, you do a little bit of stretching. And if you do want to watch a little bit of TV, like, can we keep everything dim? You know, and if you can avoid your screen for an hour before bed, it really does wonders, because that brightness is stimulating bright light and your body's like, oh, it's awake time, we need to stay awake. So at a bare minimum, if you're like, hey, well, what do I do if I have to get a work project done? Like Chris and I have been there. We've had to work on something until midnight before. Can we be having the orange setting on our screens? So at least it's not the blue light. Maybe we're getting the orange setting, or even try the blue light blocking glasses can be really great. I'm not saying this is something we want to do as a kind of like a correct where we're like, oh, well, I'll just be on my phone and wear the glasses. But like, can we just even calm our brain down? Because that constant stimulation of swipe, movement, colors, light, like that's also stimulating your brain. So can we be really working on that hygiene? Maybe you're doing like a nice herbal calming tea before bed. Like we're a big fan of traditional medicinals, herbal teas. And like they have a nighty night one that's so great, or their cup of calm.
And the thing is if your eating patterns are off, right, that's going to alter that blood sugar. So we want to make sure that dinner's balanced with proteins, fats, and, you know, fibers. We want to avoid going to bed overly hungry. You know, Chris and Katie said, don't eat 2 to 3 hours before bed. Okay. However, if you're a fast oxidizer and you're processing because your caloric intake was really low that day, or you're working out, or there's, you know, that's not going to fit for you. So we need to look at, even when we're looking at the whole day, is when you're eating, what you're eating, and even why you're eating. You know how many people eat because they're just told to eat, or they're bored, or just because it's their lunchtime, but they're not hungry, right? This can help prevent that nighttime waking. And when we, you know, there's also minerals, because I kind of like my minerals, right? So when we have mineral imbalances, it's really leads to more of that light, restless sleep and frequent waking. So the body's going to struggle to fully relax and get into it. So potassium's one, and even high calcium relative to magnesium. So I appreciate you're like, what is she saying? You're not going to probably see this in blood labs. This is why we do the HMA as well. But when we have low potassium, we can have that internal wired feeling, that wired and tired throughout the day, right? So that, and then if potassium's low, potentially do we have that night waking or lighter sleep? If we have thyroid issues, potassium's connected to the thyroid. So that makes sense. People with thyroid issues, so many do not sleep, right? Even high calcium relative to magnesium, because magnesium is a beautiful calming mineral. That's more physical tension. That's difficulty staying deeply asleep. So this is why when somebody sees just a whole bunch of bars on the page, it doesn't mean, you know, anything to them. But minerals control nerve and muscle relaxation. So it makes sense that when there's imbalances, the body's going to stay on a semi-alert state, right?
And now let's talk about some of like the sleep aids that we could be utilizing, because there's tons of supplements, there's different things. So let's talk about kind of that ladder, I guess, like the sleep supplement ladder. Oh, I like that.
Look at you just like giving ladder. Yourself kudos there for you make smile.
Can I trademark that?
What is it? Sleep supplement ladder?
The sleep supplement ladder.
Okay, let's do it.
Trademark. Nobody steal that from me, right?
It's already gone.
No, all my stuff gets stolen anyways. Yeah. Always. So the first thing that we generally like to start with, if we've got the bedtime hygiene nailed down, you're like, well, I need something more. We, like I said, really love those teas. The traditional medicinals, Nighty Night, Cup of Calm, those chamomiles, you know, the valerian roots for some people. The Chris does not work. But let's bing. The next one would be magnesium glycinate. So there's different forms of magnesium. Magnesium citrate would be more bowel stimulating. Magnesium glycinate's going to be working on your nervous system. So your calming, your muscles, your sleep, your relaxation. So can we be having magnesium glycinate before bed? Like 200, 400 milligrams of magnesium before bed.
3 times body weight.
Essentially 3 times body weight. So like around that number. And then if that helps, great, fantastic. What would be the next sleep support on our sleep supplement ladder? Chris?
Kind of codependent. So if I know somebody's minerals are down, I'm going to work on the minerals along with the magnesium or the potassium. So even getting them to drink like coconut water throughout the day to get the potassium, or the tart cherry juice, or the green leafy veggies, these types of things. Hey, who's going to refuse a little dark chocolate? Nobody. So those are the things I probably work on, along with all the other factors of, you know, are we using our glucose throughout the day? Are we walking? Are we hydrated? But fast forward, then people will always ask about melatonin.
Because everybody knows that melatonin is a really powerful option. So before we get to melatonin, though, there's things you could be trying, like L-theanine, which is an amino acid that works pretty well for me. Glycine. So if you're having issues with blood sugar, maybe you need a little bit of glycine powder going into bed.
Yeah, there's a concoction with the glycine. Yeah.
It's so funny because Chris came for dinner a few months ago and she's like, I am struggling so hard with my sleep that I added in glycine and melatonin. I was like, oh my God, I added in glycine and melatonin. Are we the same person? And so glycine, it's flavorless. Just mix it into something.
Oh no, mine's totally flavor.
Mine's not flavored.
Yeah, glycine has a bit of a bite to it, so I like it.
Yeah,
it's a bit tart.
You're weird though. Chris likes the taste of weird things and
playing with snakes and
stop and getting her dentist stuff done without freezing like
all the time. But yeah,
I again, it's making me unwell. We can't talk about it. I basically need to get like the nitrous oxide to get my teeth cleaned, okay? Like it is not good for me. So we have the glycine, we have the L-theanine, maybe GABA. GABA might be a good option. So you'll see a lot of these sleep blends because there'll be like sleep matrices and like sleep things. And they'll generally have like a mix of L-theanine, maybe hops, valerian root, passion flower. You might see GABA in there. You might see melatonin. Yeah. Love passion flower.
Homeopathy, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, homeopathy. So there's lots of different options that you can try. And again, it's going to be dependent on like what's going on in your body. So what works for Chris or me may not work for you because your issues could be different. And then there's, of course, good old melatonin.
Yeah. And this is the biggest one, right? Like you just told me beforehand that there was a study that said if you take melatonin, your risk of mortality increases substantially.
Your heart issues and then risk of mortality. And it was a study that came out last year in 2020, and like social media obviously ran with it like a wildfire. And when you go on, like, you know, Chris and I read into it a little bit more, as we like to do, and they didn't look at dosages. They didn't look at like it was just
flawed. Because I'm like, I asked Katie, I'm like, how?
She was like, there's no way.
No, I'm just like, okay, I can see potentially, but sleep disruption itself, that's a major stress to the body as it is, right? Raises nighttime cortisol, like we talked about, increases sympathetic nervous system activity. What else? It impacts blood sugar regulation and blood pressure. So over time, that alone puts strain on the cardiovascular system. Right. So I'm wondering, is the deeper issue that the sleep disturbance is actually not the melatonin. Right. But I was like, OK, get to the good. And she's reading it. And I'm like, OK, this is flawed.
So let's talk about melatonin because it can be helpful. So a lot of people know it's good for jet lag, right? It's like if you're changing time zones, et cetera, et cetera. So let's talk through melatonin, how it can be utilized and how to find the right dose.
So what it does is it signals the body. It's like, hey, by the way, we got to chill down now. Like, let's just work it out. So it's going to help shift that nervous system into a more relaxed state. So it can support the transition from that wakefulness into the sleep. And then how it kind of works is melatonin is produced by the brain, right? In response to the darkness. So your body makes it. And it starts to rise again, like we said, in the evening. So your body's already doing that. You have to start watching the cues, right? And if we're working out past that, then we've got issues. In no wonder the sleep is altered. But melatonin peaks through the night and then drops in the morning with light exposure, because that's when cortisol comes in. So it's an acts as an antioxidant. It's definitely supports, through documentation, cellular repair overnight. And it's linked to the immune and hormonal rhythms of the body, right? Because
And
melatonin
what about
is.
gut health?
Well, tell me.
She's letting me. So you guys, this is so special. She's letting me jump in this one. So we know that, because there's some labs that you'll look at, right? And melatonin will show up as like a gut marker, where there is basically like that melatonin microbiome access, which is kind of like a new thing that's being talked about in the health and wellness space, where melatonin can actually indirectly affect your gut's microbiome. Fun fact. How cool.
Well, even think this. If you have gut dysbiosis and your sleep goes off, if you are getting what I call menses insomnia, like period insomnia, that's your body saying, slow it down. It will signal all the time. We're going to eat warming foods during the luteal phase. We're going to start to hunker down. We are not pumping iron. We are not doing HIIT during that time, right? The body is gearing up for a change. And through change, it's slow and steady. And when we have any gut dysbiosis, think about it, that can wake you up in the night. Gas, bloating, that's how we know it is potential digestive, getting up when we have instant like bowel movements that are an urgency, or we're not having bowel movements. So gut dysbiosis is a major player. Also being able to emulsify your fats, because melatonin is just not this little nugget. It is a hormone. So no, we don't always want to play with hormones, but if you are going to do melatonin, low, low, low. I like the spray sometimes for people that are testing it out. NFH has one, and you can take one spray, see how it goes. You can take 2 sprays, see how it goes, right? And you get to that threshold, because if you are waking up groggy or struggling to wake up in the morning and you had a restful, restorative sleep, let's say, then that's probably saying that the melatonin's too strong. We do not need to be going to 3, 5, or 10 right off the bat. You can go 1.
Or even a time release. Time release will really get you.
Time release will get you.
I learned that lesson the hard way. I learned that lesson the hard way.
When I went over, you were like, oh, I'm taking a time release. And I'm like, how you feel in the morning?
No. Yeah, I took it once and I was like, well, that was a mistake.
Yeah, time release needs to be taken earlier in the evening, right? So that it's playing on that. If we're taking it when we're going to bed, it's already too late. So
yeah, it was a bad no.
If we are, like, melatonin is not what forces sleep. It's more like a signal that guides the body into its just natural nighttime rhythm, right? So if you are, changing the patterns, or if you're like going right to melatonin, just be careful. You got to make sure that melatonin's like that last ditch effort. Like, I'm in perimenopause. I'm like, okay, it's a rubber mallet or it's melatonin. And I always try things before. So I can tell you, I have never offered melatonin in my entire career to any client up to this point. Because I have never touched it.
Never once. I had never done it myself.
And I don't want it to be a codependent.
That's the thing, is you don't, yeah.
That's why, because it's like, oh my gosh, I slept. So I'm like, if you go to bed and you're tired, do not look at your, like, as you're going to bed, make sure your alarm's set. Because a lot of people use their phones, right? Put it on airplane mode if you don't need to use it as, like, emergency phone calls. We're not getting the EMF. We're not getting disruptions. Boom. Hunker into bed and just lay there. Do some deep breathing, or just, kind of scan through your day. Think about things. Because once you start thinking, you drift more into that dream state. But if we're thinking about all the things we should have, could have, and potentially need to do, we're never going to get there.
So remember, this doesn't become like a forever thing. It's a temporary support. And you don't want it to become dependent, where you're like, oh, I'm just going to take my melatonin and I'm going to have caffeine at 4 p.m. and I'll just take my melatonin and I'll be fine. That's not what it's not what it's used for. So, and again, maybe after a few months of using it, you don't use it for a little while and you just see how your body responds.
Yeah, if you're codependent on it, so it's not cyclical around, say, your period, or it's around higher stress or perimenopause, because I'm giving you a free pass right there. True story. No. But the thing is again, it's not every single day. We don't need the codependency, and we're not talking a year. Something is wrong if you were taking this for like 2-3 months consistently because you can't get the sleep.
So what are some things that we could be looking at, Chris, to determine what those underlying issues like what are some labs we can be looking at? We love an HMA. We love a Dutch if you want to be looking at your cortisol, and there's even different blood labs you can be looking at alongside.
Yeah, definitely check your blood glucose, right? Your HbA1c and your
CRP.
Yeah, C-reactive protein to see what the inflammatory markers are. We want to look at the thyroid, right? Because the potential with the thyroid and the potassium, like we were saying. The thing with blood labs is, remember, it's only what's in there at that time. So rarely, if potassium's like super low, or magnesium, if magnesium's like bottoming out, like we're dead. So this is why they're always regular. There's no nice way to say that. So I saw your face. There's no nice way to say that. So these are the things. So going into the functional test, let's look at where your minerals are. Let's look where your habits are, and let's start to look at the lifestyle transitions. Potentially, do we need to address the gut microbiome, right? Do we need to address stability? If you have hormones that are going all over the place and you're not emulsifying your fats and digestion's off, then no wonder you feel like a hot mess, right? So sleep is one sec. Remember, sleep is pinnacle, but sleep goes off when our mental attitude or our outlook goes off and when our stress goes up. Sleep will naturally be impacted. And then, again, two-way communicators, sleep's off. What happens to the other two? It's a gravitational pull.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So our 30-minute episode turned into a 45-minute episode. That's okay. Sleep is a really big topic. So remember, we really want to be looking at that bedtime hygiene, looking at the possible, like the magnesium or the L-theanines, the herbal teas, maybe considering a melatonin for short-term use, blood sugar and stress response. Like there's a lot that goes into looking at your sleep, and reminding yourself that sleep is really going to be, it's a cornerstone foundational piece for your health. It's not a nice to have, it's a need.
100%.
All right. And if you guys do need functional testing, remember, we have opened up our nutrition clinic to anyone. You do not need to be in the Clear Skin Solution to come in and get a hair trace mineral, a Dutch test for your hormones, a GI map. So I'm going to include all of that in the show notes should you want to go and dig deeper into getting those answers as to why you're not sleeping. Oh, and of course, we put together our functional blood lab bundle, Chris, so that we have all of the blood labs for them to go and request from their practitioner. And then we even included the ranges to look at and what it actually means. So you know what your results mean versus everything is normal. All right. That's it here at Keep It Clear. We will see you guys next week.